Good morning, and welcome to another episode of the Raw Uncovered Truth of the Awakened Soul with Nicole and Christy. And as always, I'm going to pass it to Christy for our angel message for today.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today's message is all about attention, so surrender and resistance. My dear one, it is time to let yourself be guided by the signals your heart is sending out into the world. Trust the universe to reflect what you need to let go of. Do not resist, but surrender to the flow of the universe. Something within you needs attention. Your heart is eternally sending out signals to the outer world to mirror back to you. Take these clues and walk with them. Give them attention that they need and deserve. Surrender to the flow. Pay close attention to what is drawing you in. Follow the golden path to your light and true direction. Resistance only makes the clue louder and creates fragments within, like a broken mirror. The universe will keep reflecting it back to you until you recognize and acknowledge it. It is self-respecting and life-honoring to act and surrender to the flow of the universal signals. Feel your attention drawn to things that truly matter, lighting the way to your authentic path. Begin to feel free from the shackles of resistance brought on by fear. May your journey be lit with light, leading you to greater wisdom and understanding. This message really brings us back to where we left off last week, Nicole. We started talking about shifting timelines and quantum jumping. What I like about this is it's in self-reflecting that we need to do. It's the first step to start to begin to move timelines. Just to give everybody a little bit of content on what timeline shifting is or quantum jumping is. It's just as quantum physics suggests the existence of parallel universes, and each representing a different possible outcome by the choices we make. Shifting timelines can make us move to different parallel universes or shifting from oneself to a higher self. It is the idea that this version of yourself is already existing on another timeline. So we don't necessarily need to design a whole new self. Instead, we need to make the changes to step into this higher reality. So how do we get there, right? I think everybody's trying to figure out, well, how do you do that? How do you get there? Well, the first thing that you need to do is begin to change your frequency. And the way that we begin to change our frequency is simply by changing our thoughts and beliefs, which is what we were talking about last week in the podcast, right, Nicole? Like believing that we, are more than what we perceive ourselves to be. If you're constantly thinking in a thought process where we don't perceive ourselves to be this better person or take the steps to become this better person, then this higher timeline cannot exist for us.
Yeah, so I'm going to bounce off of that with the limiting belief system. So, I mean, and I think if we didn't say this last episode, we said it the episode before, and then the episode before that, and the episode before that.
And
I
almost
think
every episode.
we always say that it's just a limiting belief that you have, right? It's just an illusion that you have that you can't attain to any, like your highest potential, right? It's your free will to stay stuck in that limiting belief system. It's just that. It's just a limiting belief. So if you think like there's no higher timeline for you, there's no higher version of you, even though you feel that pull, that is a limiting belief. That's kind of like when you really have to like sit back and surrender into the process, right? Into the role of the ascension process and, become that higher version of you, become, on that highest timeline that's calling you, to jump onto. It's all about like aligning yourself. And, with that is, all about self-love. We're totally going to stress that again. Seems to be like, reoccurring themes are, learning how to like, lean back and surrender, shifting into your timeline, shifting into your highest version, learning the ascending process. So you really do like, again, I'm like, it's repetitive, like being able to just lean back and surrender to ascend. Aligning with your true soul purpose is, a whole is in that as well, just you have to love on yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in source. You have to believe that there is a bigger, higher version, like vision or version actually of why you are here. There's it's like a whole, I don't know, like quantum level. Like there's so
Yeah.
many layers to us being here. And like the more that you surrender and you believe in yourself and you believe in, why you are here and living in that purpose, it just kind of flows and it comes naturally. And like all of these things start coming to you and these memories and all of these things that we hold in, like, we have codes in our body and even like just me and Christy doing the podcast and talking to you guys, that is opening and awakening, things that are, I wouldn't say trapped in your body, but things that are awakening in your body that you're going to remember, that we're triggering you to remember, is part of your, whole purpose of being here on, I want to say planet Earth, but it's so early in the conversation to go there, but whatever.
Yes, yes, it is so true. Your thoughts, I think people don't realize that your thoughts are energy. Your words are energy, and they all carry different frequency or vibrations. Some carry low vibrations, some carry high vibrations. We want to constantly be able to stay in the high vibration thought process. How do we do this? Well, negative thought patterns are lower vibration. So we constantly, as people walking the earth, like Nicole said, we constantly hold these bad thought patterns about ourselves. I could be better. I could be doing this better. And we're playing out all of those actions in the world around us without even knowing it. If internally we don't feel good enough, we're reflecting that back to the world, like the mirror in the message. When we change our thought process and we think more in a high vibration, we begin to see things in a higher vibration, meaning that our thought processes are higher. So things around us are starting to play out in a higher vibration. Think about it. The more that you internally, pick on yourself, what's going to happen? You're going to go out in the world, and what's going to happen? That frequency is going to be reflected back to you. But if you're kind to yourself and loving to yourself and you take care of yourself and you tell yourself, okay, maybe today wasn't the best day that I had, but I love myself and I know I'm doing the best I can in this moment. When you go out into the world, guess what's going to happen? That frequency is going to show back to you. And then you're going to be seeing a higher frequency all around you, and it's going to change your perception. And once you change your thought process, you begin to change your perception. And then that triggers the action.
Right. So, I think, and we've said this, a couple of times that I feel like a lot of people think it's a very hard process to get to, right? In order to, shift your mindset, shift your point of view. It's really not. We make it as humans very difficult, but it's really not. It's like literally like just one thing, and like you'll have this huge aha moment, and like your reality will shift. Listen, I mean, even, Christy and I are not always in the highest of highest vibrations. So, yes, it's one thing to be in a high vibe, right? High frequency, and you want to always stay there. Um, and that's like just like your main level. However, negative things do come at you, especially if you're a light worker and you really need to process them out. Um, but you have to process them out. You can't sit in that energy. You kind of really have to like process it out, 1, 2, 3. And I know we've gone over this like several times, like even like I had like, I'm gonna be, share my experience over the weekend, and it was horrendous. I don't even know, like I was picking up on just the world in general. People that were like disappointed on Valentine's Day, like I was picking up on everything, on top of like hearing really crazy things going on in my life in the timelines that I know are out there for me. Um, but like you can't stay in that situation, right? You have to always like look at like a bigger picture, like put that pretty vision up there, like in your mind, focus on that, focus on, I don't agree or align with these, negative aspects of myself or negative energies or negative frequencies. I do align, with everything that is Christ consciousness, that is on a higher vibration, that is on a higher frequency. I am about evolving, working on myself, loving myself, and getting to my highest potential. And that's what you always have to remind yourself of, because it's very potent, especially with the world right now and how everybody's just like, a lot of people are against each other. Like, and I say this a lot, like imagine if we weren't against each other and it was all like all love, like how amazing our frequency would be, right? We were all on the same page, we all accepted and loved each other, and the world would be a completely different place. Which I'm pretty sure we were in prior, but we won't go there either because that's that's a little quantum too for right now. But the whole point is like it's just shifting. It's shifting, the energy. It's shifting your frequency. It's shifting the vibe. Love is the highest vibe out there. It's the highest frequency. So all you have to do, again, even if somebody's giving you shit, just be like, okay, just send off love vibes and move on. Like don't participate in something unless it is some like a situation where you need to use your voice. If you need to use your voice, okay, and you're using it in a non-derogatory way, if you're like using your voice to and not in a malicious way either. I guess derogatory and malicious kind of go hand in hand. But like if you're using your voice to speak what's bothering you, like what you're feeling, and again, not in a malicious way, in a genuine, pure way, that is fine. That is great. That is you using your voice as a feminine, as a masculine, like it doesn't matter. Like use your fucking voice, right? If you're using it to be malicious, to put somebody down, to like be narcissistic, don't do that. That's not in the purest form of anything really, and definitely not on a love frequency. So keep that in mind. I really want to bring in soulmates for a second, and I know like this is gonna kind of like jump off the subject of what we're talking about, but I'm kind of being led into the soulmate thing. um it seems to be right, and source is kind of really bringing this into me. It seems to be people are stuck on like soulmates and twin flames and all of these aspects. I'm just going to give you a really short, smooth breakdown, which I think I do on basically every episode, but we're kind of just going to give a little breakdown now. Soulmates, everybody has tons of them. Some of them walk in and they are, the same polarity as you. So like, they could be feminine, they could be masculine. If you're a masculine, they could be masculines. These are people walking in and out of your life constantly. Some are just here to ignite you and to for you to see a higher potential, for you to go a different direction. We have tons of soulmates, tons of soul family is what I like to call them. It's people that you reincarnate with over and over and over again. And that becomes your soul family. And you will recognize those people faster than anything, like you'll just have an instant connection, 1, 2, 3 with these people. And again, those are soulmates, right? Soulmates. Then you have love relationship soulmates, right? So that's it's just a higher level of a soulmate. So that is, your opposite. So if you're a feminine, it's a masculine. If you're a masculine, it's a feminine. Those again, some are just meant to awaken you. Some are just meant to come in and you fill that contract that you have. So just really simple and really fast. We all come in on this contracts, on these contracts, on our what we refer to as our soul blueprint, right? Which can be also dubbed as Akashic records, but we'll keep it simple and we'll just say, life purpose, right? So you have these contracts with people to fill out, right? So again, some soulmates are not here to stay. Do not get stuck on this one specific person for you, especially if you are single, right? Doesn't matter how old you are, where you are in your process. Do not get stuck on this one aspect of this one person, right? It could just be that you are here to play out a lesson. And I think the more of humanity awakens, and the more of us like really sink into ourselves, you're going to be able to read your own Akashic records, aka your soul purpose, and you're going to know, your contracts with so and so, and your contracts with this one, and your contracts with that one, and how it plays out. Again, but there is that, soulmate that does stay with you, and you do your journey together. Same thing with twin flames. Two different types of twin flames. We're not really going to get into that right now, but even if you are meant to have a union, right? And usually you come into union with this one specific twin flame when you're done, like when your contract is fully done, this is your last lifetime together, and that's that. Still, even though twin flames are very, very interesting these days, because the free will has played a huge part in where everybody is at. And a lot of the divine masculines, not meaning to throw you guys down, but a lot of the masculines have chosen to use their free will to go in a different direction. So you really can't hold tight to that either, because everyone has the potential, everyone in any situation has the free will to not level up, to not break down those illusions, to not get rid of those limiting beliefs, to just stay, right? Even though they have that higher calling and they know some things, they just want to stay and stay where they are, and they really can't see past that, right? Everybody has that free will, which means that there will be some other person coming in for you, another soul that will come in and align with you, and at this, at this purpose, at this time, for the purpose. Oh my God, I'm like getting so confused. They're talking so fast. For the purpose of living out, a soul contract that you did have to be, in a situation together to kind of like bring up the unity, and the frequency of this lifetime. There was something else, and because I like, they were talking so fast, I couldn't get it, but I'm sure that they're going to come back and say it again. But yeah, I don't know why I had to go on that rant. I think it's because like there's a lot of talk of divine union right now, and you have to understand that there's so many aspects at play in it, right? All I know, right, and I could wholeheartedly say that it will happen. Union will happen. And if you're in union already, it's going to be a million times like even more in depth and incredible, and like heart opening, soul, like merging, intensity, which I think is amazing. And I know a lot of people are coming to me saying that, they're on that level as well. Don't get discouraged. Just literally turn all of that focus onto yourself. Love yourself, spend time with yourself, do things for yourself, and eventually that will come in. And I really need to stress that. But again, all focus on you. I guess we could go back into timelines.
Well,
sorry.
Little detour, but I know why you brought it up. And I'm going to now bring it back into the timeline shifting or the quantum jumping, for the simple fact that, yes, we meet all these people in our lives. And when the timing is right, they will meet us there. I think so many people, going back to why they can't timeline shift, they get so caught up on the why and the who.
They're holding on. You're holding on to like a certain aspect of that timeline when it really needs to just close out and jump. Yes, I was getting to that probably eventually, but yes, thank you, Christine. That's why you are here with me.
So when we get caught up on the how, the why, or the who, we cannot consciously jump timelines, because we're conditioning the timeline. You cannot condition your timeline. So many people get so caught up on how, like make it even easy. Like how how am I going to make money? We'll say, because I'm just going to make it easy. How am I going to make money? And then we get so caught up on the how that we forget just to continue to build our thought processes into action. So when you get caught up on the then who, talking about love and relationships, if we get caught up on the who, the person who's going to meet us there, who are we going to bring with us, then we once again we lose that timeline. So we have to say we want these things, we have to bring these thought processes in the proper way, and the way to do that is to not condition the thought process. The more you condition the thought process, the more you get stuck right in the space that you're in right now, because you're constantly conditioning what it needs to look like instead of just following the thought process into the action and shifting it into your new reality.
Yeah, absolutely. You do tend to hold back on, it's having the vision, knowing it's there, and like letting go of how you get there, right? You can't manipulate it. If you manipulate it, you are just delaying the process of you getting there. It's literally sitting in a state of flow. So you put that vision out there, and let me tell you, you wouldn't have that vision if it wasn't already like designated for you, right? It's already inside you, these visions. So that's why you get them. So you lead with that vision, and then you say, okay, I'm ready for that. That's what I want. But you have to be able to let in the process of how to get there, right? So whether it's letting go of, a job, a house, a career, I guess job career. Well, job career is totally different, actually. A relationship, anything, right? A car, like you have to be able to just let it go, and let it flow to you. Let the energy kind of just take you either inward and release anything that's like holding you back from that, and able to jump to that timeline, and really hold that vision. And I was going to say, once you get there, you really need to hold on to that, but that we'll hold off on that for a second. Like we're jumping way all over the place today. And I even brought like a crystal with me to like kind of ground me, because I was like, I know that today is going to be like one of those days where they're just going to come in and like throw everything
Well,
at
that's
me.
why I'm here, Nicole.
Yeah,
That's why I'm here. i'm i'm
you're
i'm
my grounding
grounding you
too.
today. I'm grounding.
So basically, again, let's just stick to the basics. When you have a vision, you already have it, right? So the source, the universe, God, whoever it is that, your angels, whoever it is that you like to refer to, like just blips this image that you already have within you, to remind you, hey, this is a timeline, this is an option for you. Which then you get very excited and you're like, yes, I really want this job, I really want, like, this is the type of job that I want, this is the type of career that I want, this is the type of relationship I want, this is the type of family I want, this is the type of house I want, whatever, right? You have to take out the how you get there part out. You have to be completely flexible. And when I tell you you have to be completely flexible, I'm talking about you really have to let go of everything. And like as soon as something comes up, because you're like, oh, and your ego flares and like, oh, like I should be doing this. This is not how it's going to work out. You're delaying yourself and you're putting yourself back. And listen, I will be the first person to admit that I have been there a gazillion times. So take it from me. It really is a simple process. And your human self, your ego makes it a million times worse. And I've been there, and I could have been, and I say this all the time, wow, like I could have been like really like God only knows where right now if I didn't keep constantly holding myself back, right? You
Right.
really have to let go. If something doesn't feel right, right? If a job comes in and it's not exactly what you want, right? And you have that really iffy feeling, not your ego going up, but like if you have that feeling of this is actually not what I want, and I feel like there's something better out there for me, you need to be able to let that go, right? Like agree to let that go and keep moving forward, because there is a better, opportunity out there for you. Same thing in a relationship. If, like even if it's an old person or a new person coming in, and it's not exactly, like what you want. And again, it could be because that's what it's going to turn out to be, Or if your ego's going, no, this is not what I want. This is that's totally different, right? But if you're feeling it and you're like, no, I think that there's something, I like, not that I think, like, I know that there's something better out there for me. Go with that feeling. Let it go. You have to be able to let go. And I think we stress this on every single episode. It really is like letting go, right? Even though like you sometimes have to, it's like a fight, right? Because that keeps coming back in, wants to get into your life, but you're like, nope, like I'm in the headspace where I'm going to keep going forward. And if you're meant to be in my life, you will, whatever it is, opportunity person will eventually catch up to you. And that's what you have to see. You have to keep going for the bigger picture. And eventually whatever is meant for you that is on a lower frequency, if it chooses to, it will rise with you. If not, it'll be an entire new situation for you in any aspect of your life, and it will be like completely mind-blowing as to like better than you ever thought anything possible for you. So you really need to hold on to that vision, and the faster you hold on to that and know that there's like a world out there that you can't even see that exists for you and is mind-blowing for you, that'll take you, like that'll shift you like majorly, and it's a great feeling to have inside as well to work on.
I agree. I agree with that. And it kind of reminds me of the old saying, right? Fake it until you make it. We sometimes have to put ourselves into this alternate reality where we want to be. So say um breaking it down and making it easy. Say you want to be a businesswoman, right? Like your dream is to be a businesswoman. Well, then you need to start thinking like a businesswoman, acting like a businesswoman, dressing like a businesswoman. Put yourself into that position. Don't put limitations on it. Don't put, expectations on it, but you're just playing this part out in your life. So what would you have to say to yourself, what would a businesswoman wear, and start dressing that way. Start feeling the part of who you want to become. The reason why I say this, it's not superficial. I think so many people say, oh, that's so superficial of you to say. No, it's not superficial to say, because when you put yourself in those shoes and you feel a certain way about yourself, you begin to exude the confidence of that person. In order to shift timelines, you need to have confidence. If you're constantly not, getting up and not feeling good about yourself and going about your day, well, how is that going to bring you to the next level? It's not. The reason why we do those things, or the reason why the words come about, fake it until you make it, is to play the part until you become the part. Feel the part. Don't condition the part, but feel the part. And the more that you do that, the more you begin to shift your thought process, because you start to feel good about yourself. People in the world start to see you differently. They see you as a business person. They don't know what you are. They don't know anything about you. They see you as this person. And then all of a sudden, all these opportunities that were not available to you all of a sudden start to become available to you, because people in the world see you differently. And that, once again, brings you back to starting the thought process of how you feel about yourself on the inside, and then starts to react on the outside, the action part.
Well,
This is
that's the
all,
whole vibe. Yeah.
yeah, it's the whole vibe. And so many people say, that's superficial. It's not superficial at all. But you're never going to be able to become a version of yourself you want to be if you continue to stay in the version of yourself where you're at now. It's never going to change.
Well, I have to, I like 1000% agree with you on you said, like not having expectations. Get rid of those expectations. So what Christy's saying, as far as like people say, oh, like you're kind of putting like a false narrative out there. It's not. We're not asking you to like, show up at a job and pretend that you're somebody that you're not. It's literally you stepping into that version of yourself and holding that power of what you can attain, right? So once you put that, hey, I'm going to go, and be the successful businesswoman, and like you step into that power, that's what we're talking about. Like that's like you're being that part, right? Even though you don't have a business yet, or you don't have that career path or whatever, you're holding yourself in that aspect, right? That's your power. You know you have it, and you're literally like magnetizing it. You're pulling it in. And that is basically that's how it works. It's literally you have that vision, you are stepping into that vision, you are doing anything and everything to have your mindset on that vision, to become that person who's ready to have that, career and have that shining moment. And that's how you bring it in. You're not chasing it, you're becoming that person. You're becoming, like you're holding that power, and you are fully stepping into that version of yourself. That was actually a really good, I don't know, analogy that you put out there. I don't know, like, that was a good example. Like, it was, that was, like, spot on.
Ah,
It was
thank you. Thank you
spot
very
on.
much. But you could say the same thing in love and relationship. You know, going back to the same thing, when you're living in love, if you're constantly going out in the world and being like, oh, I can never meet anybody. Everybody that comes around me is this way. And I really want to meet somebody, but who's going to approach somebody who's unapproachable, right? Nobody's going to approach you. That amazing man is not going to approach you. Even a past love, if you want to go with a soulmate or a twin flame, and you're still stuck on that person. Well, if you're still stuck on in the past, if you're still stuck on all the things that have happened in the past, how is this person going to ever approach you in the future? So once again, changing the thought process, leaving the past in the past, moving forward from the past, and beginning to retrain your mind like these actions never took place. It takes a while, but you know how you will know when this is all happening? When you going, this is for like a soulmate. You go back to a time with them, you bring up something with them, and you say to them, oh yeah, remember that time, and they have no recollection of that time. No recollection of that time. They have no recollection of the conversation, yet in your mind, you could play it out as if it just happened yesterday. But for them, they have no recollection of it. That's how you know that you shifted a timeline. That conversation on some different timeline now had never existed. So
Yeah.
that's how you know that you're jumping a timeline, or going back to being the businesswoman, right? Things happen in your past and you bring it up to somebody and they have no recollection of the past you. They only know you as this new person. That is shifting timelines. That's how you know that you shifted a timeline, when only you can remember who you were before and everybody else only sees you as the businesswoman.
Yeah, that goes with every aspect. And that is, you're right. That's like a perfect, example of how you could tell that you shifted, and other people haven't, right? Because you literally do bring up like these conversations, and they have no idea what you're talking about, no idea about like how they felt during this, no idea. And you're just like, and you can't get offended, because it truly is that it doesn't exist anymore. Like that lifeline for you, right? That timeline for you, just collapsed. And it's meant for you, to move forward. You can't go back and look on those situations. You're not that version of you anymore. Um, and that's a great thing, right? Because like you're forever evolving, and that's what you want to continue to do, right? Us as humans are forever evolving. And again, always going to stress this: we will never be perfect, never, ever, ever be perfect, but constantly evolving, constantly bringing in the higher frequency, and all that good stuff. But it is nice to, if you need the self validation, just to remind yourself, that if you are on the right track, and it is, looking back and having a conversation with somebody, and they don't, they're like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. And you're like, oh, okay. And like, you just keep going forward. I think that's cool. I mean, in the beginning, I think you do tend to get offended, but that's, when you're still in the offensive thing. Like right now, in the process of awakening, and if you are like, following us, and you're on this timeline shift, on this like big wave of shifting on the collective, you shouldn't get offended by anything. It's that is actually just an illusion of you getting offended because it's triggering something inside you. And if you are, then you have to really look for, like look in and figure out why it is that it's triggering you. If it's not triggering you and somebody's just like, shooting shit at you, it's just them projecting onto you how they feel. And just, again, send them love and like continue on your way.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week with the with writing down all the things that trigger you. So when those moments come, you can do that. You can be the higher person in the situation and take a step back, and like you said, you can defend yourself by asking questions, but you're not automatically going to, you know, feel like you're being attacked in the situation. And the more that you do that, the more you retrain your brain, the more your thought process changes. So as you could see, it all comes together. It all comes together. Now, when you're starting on this process, because I kind of forgot this part, we always tend to kind of jump forward, and we do forget that there are some people that are listening that aren't as evolved and don't really know how to get to these points to even start doing their shifting. So like I said, the first step is obviously mindfulness. We need to be mindfulness of our thoughts. The other thing is you could start doing some meditations. There are so many great meditations out there. Nicole, do you have a meditation on your website about shifting timelines?
I do actually. I have to redo the website and kind of just put everything public because that's what I was called to do. So I really need to get on that. But yeah, I do. I do have quantum shifting meditation on my website. I have several. Not in calling in and like letting your ego go. And yeah, I have yeah, I will fix that and link that below. How about that? At some point
Yes.
today, I will link that below the video.
Yes, I was just going to say that. So Nicole has some great meditations on her website, and she will be making that public this week. So it will be accessible to everybody. But this is a great way to start, is to start doing Nicole's meditations. But you have to remember, you're not going to do a meditation and then 3 hours later, you're going to go out into the world and everything's going to change. It is a process. The whole thing is a process. You have to remember, you do a meditation, you begin to change your thought process, you begin to take actions. With each time that you do these things, the more it becomes easier and easier to shift timelines. And that's when you're going to start noticing, like I said, the signs or synchronicities. Another great thing you could do, and I always say this all the time, I'm big into journaling. I'm big into writing a story about, this girl who started from here and now she's here. um, the whole reason to do that is the girl is you, or the male is you, right? And you
Uh,
start about your life.
Not the masculines. Look at
I
you.
added the masculines. I'm very bad about not adding the masculines, and I told Nicole I'm not going to do that anymore. So feminine, masculine, a great thing to do is to be your own storyteller, right? I say so many times in the different podcasts, we're in control. We write our own story. So let's write it. We're the main character. Where are we now? Where do we want to be? Write a story about it, and constantly, once you write your story, the key to manifesting the story is to constantly read the story back to you. Now, remember, everything in your story needs to be unconditional and very positive. At the same time, you kind of have to let go of the negative aspects. The negative aspects could be at the beginning of the book because that's who you used to be. But as you go to the end of your story, all positive, and then the conclusion of where you want to be. So you have to make sure that you have clear intentions to where you want to be. Constantly read that back to you. When you're doing that and you're doing the meditations, then you can ultimately shift timelines, or now quantum jumping timelines faster, because you're now, it's almost like you're manipulating this parallel universe.
Okay, so let's jump on the parallel universes and timelines. So let's just keep it simple for right now. There are many, many timelines out there for you that you could jump on. Right now, the world in general is shifting, if you haven't noticed. is shifting rapidly, right? It's constant change, constant growth. And to me, that's amazing. And that's also helping, in humanity awakening, and leveling up as fast as possible. These timelines that are out there, right? There's so many of them. Like you could jump on one, you could jump on another one. Like I am constantly, and I've said this before, like I could think I'm on one and 5 minutes from now, I am on a complete other different one. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck happened? Like I turn around, I'm like calling Christy and I'm like, well, I just shifted again. How lovely is that? Like, so you really have to be flexible because, things do shift. Every timeline moving forward that you are going to hop on, or hop over to, is all positive, is all growth, is all, is shedding, the past versions of you and jumping onto these timelines. Some of these timelines are closing out. So you may have had a vision, right, of you even like as a child, and like the vision just doesn't exist anymore. That could be because it just closed out. Like everybody on that timeline with you was just not going to, meet you there, let's just say. So that kind of closes out and gives you, another timeline. Shifting is very interesting. And once you understand that there's so many, it's literally versions of you on different timelines with people that are awakening and that are on your level. Meditations, as far as meditating, and I also have affirmations up there and on my website, but as far as like doing meditations, affirmations, anything that like to really like shift your mindset, you have to give yourself some grace, right? Some people could meditate and fall into that, 1, 2, 3. Others it'll take like, 3 or 4 times to be able to like relax yourself enough to get into that vibe of the meditation. But again, you could come out, feeling like all tingly. It depends on, like how you let yourself relax enough, and how you literally let go and surrender to what, is coming in for you. Same thing with
Can I add something about the meditation?
yeah.
I have a lot of people who feel like they can't meditate at all. One of my friends particularly, she can't meditate at all. So I suggest starting meditation, if you feel like you can't meditate at all, what I think is a great way, and I know if you're in the north right now, it's probably not going to be as easy as if you're living in the south right
Going
now.
outside, it's so warm. Look at me. I have a hat. It's awesome. It's just like a real
But
feeling today. No biggie.
But what I would say is take your headphones, put them on, and listen to the meditation while you're walking, walking outside in nature. It's a great way to start to calm your mind, to get yourself ready for when you do decide to move on to sit down meditations. It's kind of like you're engaging in an activity that uplifts you, and you're able to relax your mind and tune into what the meditation is directing you to, or the music is directing you to. So I always feel like that's a great way to start to raise your vibration, instead of trying to sit there in meditation, especially if you are ADD or ADHD, right? It's almost impossible to do it sometimes. So this is just another way of doing it, till you can train your body to say, oh, okay, I'm gonna sit and relax. That's a really great way. Or sometimes when you're laying down in bed, right before you go to bed, and you just slip your headphones on and you're relaxing anyway, just to kind of calm the body. Because I think some people really feel like, oh, okay, I have to sit there and meditate, and all these thoughts are coming into their head, because now they're almost nervous about meditating. So it's
Oh, right.
I
You
just
psych
wanted
yourself
to,
out.
yeah, I just wanted to add that in. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I thought that was important.
No, a lot of people psych themselves. A lot of people cannot meditate. I mean, but like just being outside in nature, being, if you love the beach, when it's not crowded, like go sit in the sands, go walk on the boardwalk, just walk up and down the beach, like just sit by the water if you live down by the water, or just drive to the water, like things like that is peaceful. And believe it or not, you are meditating in that situation, no matter what you're listening to. your whole mindset is like completely zen. And, same thing with coloring. If you're into coloring, drawing, writing, writing is a big deal. I mean, Christy says it all the time, and it's true. Writing is great, is amazing for you. But like there's so many things, and I know we've spoken about this as well on several podcasts. There's so many things to like, elevate you, clear your mind, and be able to see like the bigger vision. You also cannot like psych yourself out and tell yourself that you can't do this, you can't do that. This is not for you. You don't know that until you literally like let go. I know like some people can't even hang with yoga because they think it's so boring. To each his own, right? You could think that it's boring, but like further down the line, you might be like, oh my God, now that I'm not resisting it anymore, and it's okay if you fall asleep in yoga, because that's the whole point. You're so relaxed that you are falling asleep in yoga. That's great. I'm not gonna like, tell you not to do that. It's just all about like being able to sit with yourself and see, what really is in front of you. Um, I want to kind of transition into sexual energy. Sorry, guys. So, so we're
Okay.
right. We're kind we're kind of being called to like fully step into our sexual energy, right? And I'm not saying that as a bad thing, right? I'm not saying like go around naked and flaunt yourself, like masculine or feminine, right? This is for both. It's like really stepping into your power, really leading with that energy, because it is healing. That doesn't mean that you're going to sleep around with everybody, because that is not healing. That's the complete opposite of using your sexual energy, to on a higher perspective. That's actually like going to bring you more negative energy, believe it or not. It's just literally like sitting there and being comfortable with yourself, and being comfortable with yourself is where your sexual energy rises, and it flows through you in a very positive way. Again, we're not going out and sleeping around. That's not, believe it or not, what sexual energy is meant for. It's literally being like, in tune with your body, and again, it comes from loving yourself, but like really feeling that energy and being able to, like let it flow throughout your entire body. So like you're literally like, that's when you're radiating, that's when you're magnetizing, because you have all of that energy inside you. And you're harnessing that energy, and you're really kind of spreading it in a non sexual intercourse way. You're kind of just like spreading it, and that's also love, as hard as that is to imagine and believe.
You know what? I love that you brought that up, because I think society has painted a different picture for women, of what sexuality should look like. And that's not what sexuality really is for a woman. So I am glad that you brought that up, because the way it's portrayed is disgusting, and that's
Oh,
not.
sex in general, the way it's
Yeah,
portrayed has been like, it's was always supposed to be something that was like sacred, like a sacred
right.
union between people. Healing, sex does bring a lot of healing, but when you are doing that correctly, you have to understand that, like, yes, it has so been tarnished, and it, like it's really been like the way that it was meant to be, and then the way that it's being shown now. And I think that's also shifting. So people, like are coming into those unions to have that sacred, it's everything is just sacred, and you kind of have to keep that. Even if you were promiscuous as a kid, as a younger person, I mean, who wasn't, right? But we didn't know any better, right? Now we know, now we understand. And this is something that, we have to share, that it is a very sacred commitment. I'm not saying you can't have like really raunchy and fun sex. No, you totally can. Just do it, like in a very, respectful to your body, respectful to your situation, and try to limit, the people that you are, because it is sacred, and you are like if you are in a relationship and you are doing it, you're just making more energy, and it's like it's a good thing. It's a great thing when you're doing it out of like a different, aspect and a different outlook. You're creating energy, but it's not the healing type of energy, and it's going to make you feel really gross and disgusting after. It really is meant to be beautiful, like a really beautiful like thing, and it does vibrate out there into the world. So, but yeah, you could continue if you want to on the whole how it's, been diminished over the years, because that is spot on.
Well, yeah, I mean, it has been by society beliefs, once again, going back to, TV, music. It's been brought upon that a woman needs to look sexual or act sexual in order to get, to be the divine, we'll say they make it look like to be the divine feminine. This is not a divine feminine, but to make it look like to be the divine feminine, or what they like to call in the TV world or the video world as the queen, which I can't stand. um that's what they're portraying a woman to be. Like, the more you're more confident when you could show your body, you're more confident when you can have as many sexual partners as a man. What is this? What does that have to do with self-confidence? Because honestly, at the end of the day, if you really think about it, things like that are the things that deteriorate your self-confidence. So that's what society has led, especially the younger generation, to believe. And going back to the reason why I want to say I hate when people say, oh, she's my queen or he's my king. Go back to medieval times. What happened when you were a king or you were a queen? Everybody wanted to pull you off your throne. Everybody wanted your position. You weren't a higher level person. So think about that when people say that. You're just portrayed in society as a king or a queen, but in reality, a king or a queen is not something anybody would have ever wanted to be.
Hmm, I like that. That's very interesting that you brought
Read
that
it,
up.
but really read about it, because it's so true. It's so true. You're a queen, and you know someone gonna chop your head off because they want to be the queen. They want your riches. Like, it's not a real like, to really be portrayed by history. I don't think anybody would really want that.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna step into history, we could say that history basically is just all bullshit and none of it is really true. So I mean, we could go with that aspect too. But that's for another episode, another day, of how distorted, you know, the vision that was portrayed for us, really is on every single level. And I think, that's all also with the mass awakening, because everybody's like really like now, being aware of like how distorted, things have been, in the reality of what we've been shown versus, what has really been going on. Yeah, I mean, we could play on that aspect, but we'll save that for a whole other. That's an entire episode by itself. But in the meantime, guys, just, always try to keep a high frequency, right? I know a lot of people are like, oh, you can't say high vibe all the time. It has nothing to do with that. It's just really that is your main frequency, right? Like I said, you can shift down a little bit because of all the negative aspects, but you have to clear it out. You have to kind of stay, high frequency, right? It's okay to take naps. It's okay to take a vacation. It's okay to like, clock out from the world for a little bit. It's okay to disconnect. That is still being high vibe, right? Low vibing, right? Low frequency, low vibration is when you start, talking bad about yourself, talking bad about others, not wanting to do anything, not because you're tired, like physically or spiritually. It's just because you don't want to. It's when you let your ego go in. That is low vibing, right? High vibing, again, your ego's to the side. You're working on yourself, but you're exhausted. You need a break. You need to recalibrate. That's still all high vibe. So I think a lot of people are getting confused. Like, how do I maintain high frequency all the time? It's not about like the highest vibe. It's you're still vibing on a higher level, right? It's density, right?
Yeah.
The dense level all is negative, right? And even when you have negative aspects that come in, you're still vibing on a high level because you're not letting it pull you down. I think we
Yeah.
really need to kind of stress that. And
We're not keeping the negativity on repeat.
right,
And,
right.
and giving yourself a break is loving yourself, because we all need a break. We all need to take a break sometimes. So it's okay to take a break. And it doesn't mean that you're not vibing high because you need a break. I mean, in life, we all need breaks, no matter
Right.
how high vibrational we are.
Well, that and we're, like we're
Or the
trans
more vibrational you are, the more breaks that you need. I should really
exactly. I
say.
was just gonna say that. Like, you're especially like in the mass awakening right now, like, the higher vibrational you are, you're transmuting all this energy, you're transmuting all of these timeline shifts, all of these illusions, right? All of these limiting beliefs are like breaking down. Like you're gonna need that time to, have your physical body adjust to that. So you are gonna go down for a little bit. That's okay. Right. I mean, the flu seems to be taking over, and the flu-like symptoms when your throat goes out, you're totally clearing your throat chakra. Like the flu just puts you down in order for your entire body to process all of the changes. It's all good, guys. Everything is just like all good and pure. Especially the divine feminines. And I'm all about the divine masculines. I love watching you guys like open up and like elevate. But us divine feminines are more multidimensional than anything. So, like we're constantly, operating in different realms at the same time. So, we need that rest. We really, really, truly need that rest. So take it. But you got to remember, your superpower is you being able to go with the flow. If your body is telling you to rest, fucking rest. Don't keep pushing it, right? I mean, and I know it's hard as a parent. I know it's hard as a single person just trying, like you have to get out of survival mode. You have to just sink in and just like let it flow through you, right? Just total vibe. It's like listening to like house music, but like those really like those the house music that like is very like zenning. You know what I'm talking about? Like, and like you're just sitting there like, going with the
Only a girl from New York would be like, the house music is so zenning.
like when it's type of, I mean, obviously there's different levels,
I'm just messing with you, but it's just so funny.
but like that's like you need to be in zen with your life. You need to kind of let it flow. There's so many other things I want to say, but I think we'll just hold it for next week's episode. But
Yes, I agree. And all this really, even going back, like all of this plays into timeline shifting. So, if you are more interested in that, Nicole will be putting her meditations, her website, sorry, for meditations down at the bottom. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and we would be more than happy to help you.
absolutely. As always, like use your intuition if you want help, if you want to know more, reach out to there's so many of us light workers out there, channelers, reach out. Just again, use your intuition on who you should work with. But that's what we're here for. We're all here to help. Yay, it's our job to help humanity. And enjoy it while doing it. So yeah, so that's it. I think that's a wrap for today.
Yes, I think so. Thank you for joining us on the raw, uncovered truth of the awakened soul, and we will catch you next week.
All right, bye
Bye.
guys.